Get all the way back to the front.
Yeah, I think our recording probably
Okay.
needs it called in.
All right. I will call this meeting of the Cocke County Budget Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Okay. Clay Blazer.
Here.
Angela Heskey-Grooms.
Here.
Rich Lloyd.
Here.
Crystal Ottinger.
Here.
Norman Smith.
Here.
Okay, all members present.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Angela, a second by Clay. So if we could get a roll call being Zoom.
Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Angela Heskey-Grooms.
Yes.
Rich Lloyd.
Yes.
Crystal Ottinger.
Yes.
Norman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the Solid Waste Board preliminary analysis funding options.
Okay, what I did after last week's meeting was I got with Scott Gibson from Cumberland Securities, and I also got with Steve from Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund. Scott is on the call. I don't see Steve in the call. He was sent the link, but he may not have been available. But he did send his analysis. So I will, if everybody would like, I would let Scott explain his analysis since he is on the call.
I am here on the call to answer any questions. Actually, there was an analysis from last week that went out or earlier that had some budget rates in it. And then today I sent an analysis out to everyone that was on the email with some current market rates. And I did that to give you a realistic view of where rates are today. And the 15-year option, we're about 144, I think, on a true interest cost. The 20-year option about 167. Those are really great rates. So that analysis does lay out a couple of amortization schedules. Based on my conversations with the landfill here just today, based on had a call, answered some questions, they're looking at about a 15, 16, 17 year useful life of that landfill. And so we need to make sure that we finance the landfill over its useful life. So if we're not going to quite get to 20 years, we probably ought to look at a 15, 16, 17, 18 type year finance, and we can do any of those. Obviously the payments will change slightly if we shorten it or lengthen it a few years, but I think we're in good shape. I'll walk you through that analysis I sent out today to answer any questions. So that analysis, the one dated today that says current market rates on the front, page 1 is a graph of all the county's debt. Page 2, which is page 5 in the PDF file, shows option 1, current market rates, about 0.3 to 1.7%. The bottom number there, true interest cost under the statistics, 1.4367. Obviously, that's going to change depending on when we sell bonds and when we move forward, and the market moves up and down every day. But that does give you realistically kind of where we are in that $190,000 to $200,000 range on an annual basis for a 15-year financing. And if we go out a couple extra years, we can get that annual payment down a little bit if we want to go 16 or 17. There's a graph on the next page, which is page 6 of the PDF file, page 3 of the hard copy on the bottom right corner. Obviously, the landfill is going to be paying for this debt, but it does show you it's the landfill debt in relation to all the other county debt on that graph. And then page 4 and 5 show a 20-year amortization. This is also fixed rate, 1.67 average on the true interest cost or estimate. And there's a sources and uses on page 6. So we're putting about a little over $2.5 million, $2,501,500 or in $5 into the construction fund based on the numbers I ran. That number can vary up or down, but it was my understanding they need about $2.5 million which we can obviously increase or decrease a little bit if they need once they get their final bids in or however they want to do it. So that is an overview of the landfill fund, and I will answer any questions. I also saw the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund proposal that went out. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that one. It's the 15-year deal from them is a fixed rate. The 20-year, which we may not do 20 based on conversation of useful life, but it was actually a variable rate loan, the 10-year rate lock that they had sent. So, any questions? Heather, you got any more? Do you want me to discuss anything else? I'll be happy to answer any questions of the board or the budget committee.
Scott, knowing that a jail may or may not come down the line, is this, I mean, 2.5 million is okay for our debt. I mean, because you know our debt. So I'm just.
Yes. So actually, what we could do this year, this is a little off topic, but the budget committee, I don't know if y'all, Heather, if you shared with them that, there's a refunding out there of the 2016 bonds that we can save a little bit of money on. We could actually do that this year, save about 250,000, whatever the number is. We can do this for 2.5 million plus or minus some. And then both of those could be done bank qualified in 2 separate transactions. And then the county would have available to them approximately 7.3 million of funding left this year that they could utilize for some jail project and issue that debt as BQ. And then we could issue additional debt starting in January of 2022. So, and if you need more than 7.5 million this year, if you were to start construction, I have a couple other options out there that we can utilize if needed.
Thank you. I just know they're going to talk about the jail at the next CLB meeting, so I wanted to keep that in everybody's mind too.
Well, and just to weigh in, I mean, obviously, if you're just talking about it in March, even if you decided to do something, it would probably be best case. I mean, you're talking probably late summer before you could actually break ground or something like that. So I'm not sure you could spend $7.5 million in the 6 months from, call it June 1 to end of December or mid-June to end of December. And then, like I said, once 2022 rolls around, we have the ability to borrow more money on a bank qualified basis, depending on the final sizing of the project and everything else. And I keep alluding to the bank qualification because on a 20-year financing, you're probably saving 40 to 50 basis points. So 50 basis points is 1/2 of 1% on the average rate. So that adds up to $400,000, $500,000 for every 10 million that you borrow.
If you all don't mind, I'd like to add into here too. Also keep in mind, we're looking at trying to replace all the convenience centers with compactors and stuff. So whether we do GFL or self-sufficiency or whatever, that's going to be coming up pretty soon too. That'll be a pretty big expense either way you go.
Was that something that has to be done?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't understand. What'd you say?
I said, is that something that has to be done?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to do something one way or the other. We're either going to have to renew the contract with GFL, or we're going to have to put compactors in and keep it the way it is right now. Or, I mean, renew the contract, keep it the way it is right now, put compactors in, or do it ourselves. Within, I think it's about I don't want to tell you the wrong, but it's a little over a year, I believe, is what's left on GFL's contract. So it's not something we have to do this minute. No, I just wanted to let you know that, though.
We will have to do it probably within a year or definitely 2. And something to keep in mind, the contract that we have with GFL right now is not sustainable. I believe that we can save money by either going with the compactors or becoming self-sufficient. Both are going to take an investment, but it'll take off our monthly expenses for hauling off trash.
you have a proposal for what it's gonna cost you all to do that yourself, for the equipment and wherever you're going to take it?
Not all of it yet. I've been working on it this week. You know, we just discussed it in that last meeting Thursday about going ahead and getting prices and that kind of thing. I've already got prices on the equipment, yes, but I haven't got the whole thing lined out as far as dumping, where it would go and all that yet.
If we're paying capital expenses for what you are saying, are we talking about another $1 million? Are we talking about another $2 million, $5 million? What ballpark are we talking about?
I don't want to tell you wrong. I'm going to say probably somewhere between 2 and 3.5 million.
So we're talking about doubling what we're doing today.
No, about what we're doing today, maybe another $500,000.
Okay, so but do it again. What we're asking today.
But yes, I misunderstood.
Okay, so when we talk about jail, we're also talking about putting compactors at the convenience centers as another major outlay, correct?
Possibly, yes, sir.
And you all are wanting to purchase these outright as well as mechanisms to haul and everything too, right? Tony?
As far as we're doing right now, we're just checking into that and going to compare it between it and the GFL proposals and see which one's going to be better for the county. That's what we're looking at.
But whatever you would like to do is, we're still talking about a major capital outlay project.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Heather can probably tell you the GFL proposal we had. I'm wanting to think for a 10-year thing, it was going to be like almost $6 million. So I mean, you're going to come up with money somewhere, whether we continue the way we are, which is costing the county quite a bit, or you add compactors and go with the GFL proposal, or whether we become self-sufficient and put our own stuff in and use our own equipment. Either way, it's going to be a price somewhere. We got to haul the garbage off regardless.
Yep, I understand that. Can somebody give me a ballpark figure about what at least the parameters of what a jail is going to cost?
No, we've used a variety of numbers, Dr. Lloyd. Let's say anywhere, I would not imagine that we're going to do a jail project for less than 20 million. And if you add in the, let's say from 20 to 40 million, depending upon like what that comes into. I mean, again, and I'm looking at the mayor, Heather, I don't want to use specific numbers, but it's between that range, which I know is a wide range, but.
Okay. I'm just trying to get my hands wrapped around. We're talking $2.5 million today. We're talking $2.5 to $4 million for compactors, and we're talking a minimum of 20 million for jail. Am I in the right ballpark?
That's what I think. I mean, again, Mayor Crystal, am I not using about the right numbers?
That's the right numbers. I mean, if you pull the trigger on any of them right now, the way our current debt is, that's what you'd be looking at.
Okay, and I envision 12 months. We're talking about over the next 12 months, correct?
I don't know if the jail is over the next 12 months. I think a lot of that depends on what the next move is that the CLB takes. But Dr. Lloyd, I wanted to tell you, a lot of that range of 20 to 40 depends on several factors. Whether we move the courts with the jail. I mean, there's several factors there. So that's why there's a huge swing there. I'm
concerned about a minimum figure than I am about a maximum figure.
Okay,
so
I just letting you.
Just to wrap my hands around what I envision, whether it's 12 months or 24 months, of what we're doing, because I think sending to what we are asked to do today, to send this on to CLB, I just feel real responsible that while, again, I use my example, this is above my pay grade because I don't have a vote in this. I do think it's our obligation to send it on with some kind of mechanism by which we're going to pay for it, at least to be able to put it in context. And at least this level, for this $2.5 million, I see a way we can pay for it and to send it on. But knowing what's coming down the road, how do we do that? And so I just want to make sure we're being responsible today.
I've
Yeah.
got one question, or maybe a couple. But first of all, we're talking about, $2.5 million, which is nothing to sneeze at. But the new part of the landfill is for demolition and construction trash, right?
Yes.
sir.
Correct.
Okay, my question is, do all the other counties offer that as a free service to the people that do this type of stuff? Or are we the only ones?
I don't know the
As
answer to
far
that.
as far as a free thing, as if it's a residential person coming bringing some stuff, construction, demolition, most of them are free. Some of them have a what they call the word like a subscription or something like that. Most of them are free for residential, and they charge per ton for contract.
Contractors.
And so how do we do the contractors? Is it a free service for them?
No, we charge them.
Okay. But all they have to do is say, hey, this is my personal stuff, right?
Most members of the public, yes. Most contractors, they have a number that they're given from the state, and when they come in, they say their number. If somebody comes in and it's got, the name of equipment on the side, those are always kind of called into question, but they mostly know the ones that are contractors. But if somebody is tearing their own house down as a resident, they're not charged.
Okay, that's my biggest question. The other question I have, Heather, is how does this affect if we borrowed this today, how would it affect our tax rate?
Well, that's what I was going to get to as soon as, because I know Dr. Lord had kind of talked about how we were going to pay for it. If you look at the schedules, both schedules range around 190 some odd, depending on the year, $1,000. Depending on where our penny falls every year, you're looking at 3 to 4 cents of tax. So we'll either have to take that from another fund, which I don't know what fund's got that to give, or we'll have to possibly increase 3 or 4 cents.
But we're still paying $90,000 a month to haul this off, right?
Well, if we got the landfill
Not
open,
just this, that's everything.
right? If we got the landfill open, that rate that it's really more in the 80,000 range would drop. It wouldn't completely go away, but it would drop because 80,000 is to pay is your household trash and the C&D.
How much would it drop
That's
to?
one of the things we're hoping with the contract or with the compactors. Whenever we're able to condense the household waste and haul more of it off at a time, it'll cost us less money.
I guess my point is, whenever I'm thinking about this in my head, is we're already paying a lot of money to haul this off. So if we start taking care of a lot of this ourselves, while it's a huge expense, in the long run, I feel like it'll pay for itself. Am I thinking wrong whenever I think that it'll eventually pay for itself, or am I way off target here?
No, I don't think so.
It should drop about 20,000 or so. It may be more, which it's been more lately, but they also blame that on COVID because everybody's been cleaning their houses out and doing some construction while they've been at home that they haven't had time for in the past. So it has been a little high lately. So I'm going to use 20,000 as a conservative number, but it should drop at least 20, if not 25,000
per month,
per month.
and we're talking about increase of about $190,000 to cover this bond per year.
Yes. So when we look at the budget, we could move the pennies that we have been putting to the landfill for haul off to debt service. We'll just have to see how the
Yeah.
landfill numbers
So
all.
it would seem to me if we're going to save $20,000, that's $240,000, and we're talking about increasing the debt service by $190,000, then that's a wash. And so we just transfer pennies.
Yes, as long as the landfill numbers work out and our penny value works out. This roughly what it has been last year.
But just remember that while we're building it, we've still got to pay, and we still got to haul until it gets done. So there's going to be a little bit of time there.
What's the time
gotta be
structure to
creative.
build this? How long to get our landfills up and running for this year? What kind of time frame? Is that a 2 month, 6 month, 12 months?
Now, let me add a couple of things here to answer your question. If I'm not mistaken, I did not review the McGill and Associates thing before I came on here. I'm thinking the way it was is probably somewhere between actually with all the bids and everything, getting contractors lined up and all that stuff, it's probably going to be about a 6-month process.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I didn't make myself clear when I was joined the budget committee last time, and I do want to apologize for that because I was unprepared. But yes, as the mayor says, we're going to have to have this garbage hauled off till we get our C&D open. Even when we get our C&D open, we're still going to have to pay to have the class 1 garbage hauled off. And what we're looking at is trying to figure out the best way. The other 2.5 million to 4 million that we were talking about, that would be to haul the class 1 off. And if we do something like that to become self-sufficient at the end of a 10 or 15 year time period, then all that equipment is going to be paid off. And then at least for a while, of course, you're always going to have maintenance problems. At least for a while, the only thing we're going to have to really pay for is salaries, maintenance, and per ton dumping. And that's all we'll have in that if we do the self-sufficient, besides, going back with a contract with them or whatever. What main thing is we want to do what's best for the county and, financially and just responsibly.
I've got a
The only
question.
other option would be to limit people using the C&D. And that would be, depending on if it was a construction company, they would have to take it to Morristown. If it was a private resident, they would have to take it to another C&D landfill. That's the only other option than going ahead and continue to pay to haul. Kind of like what Norman was talking about. Is there other options? Or are we the only ones to do this? And I don't know if people would hold on to it.
I will tell you, my family has a summer residence in upstate New York, and we pay outrageous taxes, and we pay every time we go to the landfill. It costs us every time we drop a big bag of garbage, household garbage. So neither here nor there, but that's New York. Let me ask, do we have enough in our budget for this year to cover that $80,000 to $90,000 that we're paying to haul garbage every month?
I think it's going to be tight. I looked at it a little bit with Chandler the other day, and it's starting to look a little tight. I'm gonna look at it in more detail with him, when I go over his budget for next year and everything with him.
All right, I would think we would have to monitor that. I still, I think there is an offset. There appears to me to be some kind of offset at some level that by proposing that we do this for the money that we make back at some level. I envision, based on what I have seen, that there is that in by the time we get to 2028, that we're going to be in better shape on our debt service, uh, dramatically better. And so I see a way that we can pay for this $2.5 million. But I get really concerned once we get beyond that, because I don't see any other way but adding, if we have to add another $200,000 to our annual budget for another $2.5 million, that's another 3 or 4 cents that we might have to add to a 1 or 2 cent this coming year, add to just cover this part. And then that's before we would ever get to a jail.
Yeah, and
so
what,
I would see that over the, so I see several cents being added to our budget.
what a lot of people need to remember too is a lot of this debt's fixing to fall off in 28. However, we do know the schools are begging every year for a big loan for some of the stuff, and there's a lot of needs there too. So, you know, we're looking at a jail, we're looking at schools, we're looking at this. So we need to be careful. Heather, how confident are you that we can find this money without raising taxes this year? Because guys, we're right in the middle of the pandemic. Do you really want to raise people's land taxes?
If they can really get it done in 6 months, I mean, theoretically, yes, we could do it with the drop off of the 20,000. What scares me is how long the construction process is, and the fact that we're still paying the 80,000 to haul that off. The year that we build it, it's going to be rough. It's going to be tight. In the future, going forward, once things drop off, it'll probably look a lot better. I know that doesn't.
This is Scott. I can modify the first year payment to make it lower based on timing and other things. So we can, instead of having $190,000 payment, we could have 150, 125, 100,000. You know, we could cut that payment in half. Of course, that makes the other payments a little bit higher over time, but we can help you on that first year to bridge the gap between the construction period and reducing expenses and all that if need to.
Scott, I have a question for you, and you may have answered this early on. This loan, is it a fixed or a variable?
No, it would be fixed for the entire length of the loan. So rates are really attractive today. So we can lock in 1.5% or less, maybe on a 15-year fixed rate financing.
That's another thing we need to think about, guys, is it's, you know, we're not likely to be able to get a rate like this forever. So you think about the savings going forward if we jump on this rate now, because if it goes up even a half a point, that's going to be a significant change in the payment and the debt going forward. Just my 2 cents.
That you are absolutely correct. Money is cheap at the moment. Building costs are incredibly expensive, but money is cheap.
Right.
Does this proposal include the cost of construction as well as that all the equipment that was requested?
Tony's dropped off here. Jillian, you may be able to help with me with this, but I do believe 2.5 million included those 2 pieces of equipment you all wanted, correct?
It does. I talked to the landfill today. This is Scott, and it does include, based on where they think they are today, the 2.5 million would cover the landfill cell expansion and the two pieces of equipment. I think he told me it was a compactor and a loader or something. So I think he did mention both of those.
That's correct. That 2.5 million is for everything with the landfill project. It does not consider anything with the compactor situation.
The
I think-
landfill is the one that we're
I'm
really
sorry,
looking
my-
at.
And does the landfill already have personnel available to run that equipment?
Yes, that should be no change in personnel for the landfill. Whenever we're looking at possibly becoming self-sufficient as far as hauling off our trash, we would need more truck drivers and possibly a secretary to help coordinate who's going to haul off what when. But that'll be something we'll look at in the future.
But right now, this 2.5 million, we wouldn't need a head count increase, correct?
Correct.
And the current folks you have now would be able to operate the equipment that's in this $2.5 million proposal.
To my understanding,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
You'd have to ask Chandler to make sure, though.
You're just replacing.
I'm sorry, my Zoom. I'm sorry, my Zoom keeps cutting out for some reason. That 2.5 million covers the opening of the new landfill, closure of the new landfill plus the old one, as well as moving the material that has to be moved from the old one down to the new one, the overfill that we have, plus equipment, and that they have the personnel of right now to operate the equipment.
Thank you. Does anybody have any recommendations, any more questions?
I think I would make one comment. And again, above my pay grade, I don't make the decisions, the two of you will. But I think you have to come to some sense of priority of what's important. The landfill is here first. And they have 2.5 million today. They have 2.5 million coming soon, and maybe up to another $4 million. You're going to have building requests from the schools. There's a jail coming, and can we handle it all? And that may be a question that we have to proceed. Or do you rank a priority? Or is this? I don't disagree one bit. We are in bad shape with the landfill. We're in bad shape with the jail. Something has to be done. But in terms of how we pay for it, I think there has to be a priority. And just looking at debt service and looking at trying to maintain how much pennies we raise. When we get to 2028, 2029, the debt services drops off pretty dramatically. I don't know how we can kick the can down the road for a long time. We have the money to do what is being recommended today, and I'll be happy to make that motion. But I think it has to be done with a sense of what's the most important, and that's a hard question to ask. But I don't know that we can do all of that. I don't know that we can do all the schools want. I don't know that we build all that the jail needs. I don't know that we do all of the landfill issues. Maybe we can, but it's going to cost people money to do that. So that's my 2 cents. And having said that, I will make the recommendation that in terms of a shell, because I think CLB has to ask, is this what we want to do for the $2.5 million? And they are the ones who have to make the decision. I think the 20-year option is good. but y'all are gonna make that decision. So I will just make the motion that we send this on with both motion with the 15 and 20 year attached and send it on to CLB.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Yes. Are you talking about from both companies, Dr. Lloyd?
Oh, there are two companies. No, may I rescind my motion and let y'all decide and have a discussion about which company we want to use? And maybe that's a CLB decision. I don't know.
Heather, what's your recommendation?
Well, they're both similar, but Scott is on the call, so and Scott is always willing to help us with everything. Which the other company, I'm not saying he's not, because he does come see me all the time and is always begging for our business. But I lean. I hate to say this in a public meeting, but I lean more towards Scott.
Well,
And both of his are fixed rates instead of one being fixed. And
That
one
is
being
correct.
variable.
That is correct. Yes.
well, and let me throw in here, I am your municipal advisor and I am obligated under federal law to do what's in your best interest. And two, when we sell these bonds, we are going to sell them at competitive public sales. So everyone will get a chance to submit a bid. If the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund wants to submit a bid, when we put them out there and they are the winning bid, we can give the loan, the bonds to them. I'm not sure they're going to submit the winning bid, but they have the opportunity to put a bid in.
Okay, that makes me feel better knowing that he's still, because he does beg me to death.
Well, as you said, Cumberland's been good to us so far. They've saved us a lot of money through the years. That's all. That's the only comment I have.
I'll amend my motion to send this on to the full CLB for a vote. And I will let them choose 15 or 20 years, but that we do this through Cumberland. We send this with my great reservations because of what is to come, but we got to do it. I make the motion.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to send the proposal for the 15 and 20 year proposals from Cumberland Securities to full CLB. Do we have any further discussion or comments?
I just have one more. I just have one question before we move on. Is that equipment absolutely necessary?
Yes, sir. If we're going to operate a landfill, it's absolutely necessary. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we can also save money on the closing of the landfills once we have to close it by doing a lot of the work with ourself instead of having it hired in, farming it out, whatever you want to call it, by using that track loader that we're going to they can do that when there's slow days or something. They can be starting on the covering of the landfill ourselves with current employees instead of having to hire that done.
That's the only question I had.
This
All
is
right, well,
Scott. If this motion passes, are we going to try to get something on the February 16th agenda, a resolution? Is that what you'd like to do?
I was under the impression we were. That's why we had this specific meeting tonight.
Okay. I can make that happen. When's, well, y'all need to vote first. Go ahead.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to send the proposals for the 15 and 20 year from Cumberland Security to the full CLB. I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Angela Husky Grooms,
Yes.
Rich Lloyd,
Yes.
Crystal Ottinger,
Yes.
Norman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I would make a request, Clay, that when this is presented, that CLB knows that there is another $2.5 to $4 million request coming from the landfill. And just to remind them, there is a jail coming.
I will do that, but yes, you're
Thank you.
absolutely right.
Thank you.
And
All
just
right,
to keep things from being kind of confusing, you might want to state that it's coming from the solid waste department instead of the landfill, because the one in the future will be for like convenience center operations rather than just for the landfill.
This is Scott. I will have a resolution to you. What's the deadline to get you a resolution for next Tuesday's meeting?
As soon as possible, because they like to review them prior to the meeting.
Okay. I
I
will
was
get,
gonna say, Scott, if you would though, Shalay sends out in the morning, she actually will send out the overall call. But I will say that that is something that has been pretty good. Like if, as long as we have that even like Wednesday or Thursday, the mayor can get that out. She can put that on the agenda and just that, or someone can email that out to us.
I can do that. And then just as a reminder, I don't know if y'all seen the refunding analysis, but we do have an opportunity to refinance the 2016 bonds. That call date is June 1. So we don't have to make a decision today, but we probably want to have a meeting maybe next month to talk about it, to save some money if y'all want to look into that.
I'll put that on the March agenda.
I can't get this on the agenda. It'll have to come out of budget, because we've already sent in the agenda. It had to be in by this morning at like 8. But I can get if she's already sent out everything to everyone, I can just send it out separately.
Yeah, I think she's sending all that out in the morning. I just talked to her before I came here about something else. And she, I think she was going to try to get that sent out in the morning. So that should be good. I figured that would just come out of committee anyway, rather than being on the agenda, but we still need to have the resolution. So I think the quicker he can get that would be the better.
I can do that.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, if no one has anything else, is adjournment. Does anyone have anything else before that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Do we have to do a roll call for, okay,
Oh, we're just adjourned.
No.
okay, we're adjourned. All in favor? We're
That's
adjourned.
Everybody have a good day.
Thank
All
you
right.
all so much.
See
Thank
ya.
you, guys.
Thank you.